Hello there, in this video I'm going to show you how to replace the panel on a jack expander. We're going to replace a silver panel on an expander with a black panel, and for this you will need a couple of tools from the Vector panel kit, which is the smaller 3D printed hex socket and the 2mm Allen wrench. There are also some parts. The two parts we will definitely need are the two little black screws, and the other parts are just extras in case you lose something while you're making the exchange. I'm going to set those aside for now. You will also need a pair of needle nose pliers. So I'm going to set the panel aside for now, and I'm going to take the 2mm hex key and the pliers. Now, looking at the expander, we've got 20 3.5mm jacks with hex nuts and washers. Those will have to come off in a little bit, but first we're going to look at the two mounting screws at the bottom of the panel. We're going to turn the Vector on its, the expander module on its side, and you can see these go through a hex standoff and then to a lock nut on both sides. I'm going to use the needle nose pliers to grasp the flat side of one of the lock nuts and just grasp to hold it tight. We're not going to move this because that can scratch the PCB. We're just going to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take the 2mm hex wrench. I'm going to take the short end and carefully feed it into the mounting screw, and just gently but steadily apply pressure until it comes loose. There we are. And just give it a couple turns. And then gently let go with the with the pliers, and the lock nut should then easily come off with a little finger action. Okay, set that aside. And now I'll turn the expander on the other side. Actually, I like to work with it like this, and then reach up from above. And when you grasp with the needle nose pliers, grasp the flat side, a pair of flat sides on the lock nut. Again, hold firmly. Take the short side of the 2mm Allen wrench and gently work until it comes loose. Okay, about 2.5 turns there. Set that aside, and now you can work the lock nut loose with your fingers. Set that aside. Okay, now we take the 3D printed hex socket, the smaller one from the Vector panel kit, and just loosen all of the nuts on the jacks. Use your fingers to, once they're loose, you can generally use your fingers to rub against the edge and get them to pop off. Okay, they all have those little washers underneath them, so just keep an eye out for those. Okay, so now they're all off and the panel slides off the module. I'm going to set the module aside for a minute and take a look at the panel. We have the mounting screws, 3 tiny little washers, and a 10mm standoff. So I'm going to get these out of the way. Alright, Okay, so I'm going to just hold the screw with your finger and unscrew the standoff. We're going to need that. And the 3 very small metal washers. Pull the screw out, set that aside. Do the same for the other side. Okay, the silver panel is removed and undressed. Now we take our black panel. We need to dress it before we put it on the module. So I'm going to take the 2 black screws that came with the panel kit and put one next to the sink label. Take 3 of the metal washers and put them on there. And then the standoff. Screw that right on. And then do the same for the other mounting hole. Okay, so now this is ready to be put on the module. Bring the module back and just rest it on top, line up the jacks with the holes, and then pick it up and make sure the mounting screws are lined up with the holes in the PCB. There's a little bit of play in the DIN jacks, so sometimes you have to give it a little extra nudge. And I'm going to start by putting the washers on the jacks. We work one row at a time because it's kind of easy to get washers in between jacks, and then the easiest way to get them off is to turn the module over. But if you've got all the washers on there, then you lose all your washers and it's not fun. So we'll just do one row at a time. I always find it easier to do these when the panel's at a little bit of an angle from me. And every so often, take the hex socket, go ahead and tighten these up. Sometimes you have a nut that just doesn't want to behave, so you just give it a little time out, pick up a different one. Take the hex socket, tighten these up. Okay, now the last step is to get the lock nuts back onto these screws. And bring back the two lock nuts. The spacing is a bit tight, but usually I can get it on the second or third try. Just take it between the thumb and the forefinger and just kind of lay it on top at the side, and then gently angle it onto the top of the screw and give it a little bit of a twist. You just need to catch the threads a little bit, give it a couple turns so it stays on. I got lucky that time. Let's see how I do on the second one. See, I've got it. Let me see if I can get this on the camera. I got it at an angle, and I just slowly nudge it and turn it over the top of the mounting screw. Okay, so those are on. They're almost snug. So I'm going to set the module on its side and gently but firmly grasp on two flat edges with the needle nose pliers. Again, resist the temptation to use the pliers to tighten. Use the Allen wrench and carefully slot that in. Give it a couple turns till it's snug. Release the needle nose pliers, flip the module over, grasp on flat edges, hold firmly, use your fingers to protect the edge of the wrench so you don't scratch the panel. And then just until snug is good, release the pliers, and there we are. We now have a black panel expander.